Hey Shakers, and welcome to Worth Your Salt, the podcast that shakes up your marketing game in the health and wellness industry. Worth Your Salt is brought to you by Salt Marketing. Salt Marketing helps health and wellness practitioners build trust and authority to attract a steady stream of inbound wellness seekers. For more information, you can visit us online at saltmarketing.co. I'm Jennifer Orqua, StoryBrand Certified Guide, Marketing Strategist with Salt Marketing, and your host for today's episode. And today, lifespans are growing longer, but the question isn't just how long we can live, but how well we can live. While medical advancements have added years to our lives, the real challenge lies in enhancing our health span, the time we spend in vibrant health. My guest today is Andrew McConnell, no stranger to charting new waters, literally and figuratively. A former professional swimmer and member of the USA Open Water Swimming national team, Andrew has competed at the world level and earned a Swimming World Cup medal in 1999. Beyond that, he made waves in business as the CEO of Rented Inc. and the author of the Wall Street Journal bestseller, Get Out of My Head, Creating Modern Clarity with Stoic Wisdom. His TEDx talk has been viewed over 1 million times on YouTube. With a Harvard and Cambridge education in law and history, Andrew brings a unique blend of discipline and insight to his latest venture, Alively. Alively is a revolutionary wellness platform built on 5 essential pillars: fitness, nutrition, sleep and recovery, stress management, and social connection. Alively connects people with top-tier products, practices, and insights from renowned wellness experts, helping them extend not just their years, but their vitality. So Andrew is joining me today to share his journey and what it takes to build a health and wellness business designed to help people live their best, healthiest lives every day. Andrew, thank you so much for being here today. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you again, Jennifer.
Yeah. And we've had lots of conversations about your journey, which is incredibly diverse. Can you tell me a little bit about how your path led you to launch Alively and what inspired you to dive into this world?
Yeah, my path is very similar to so many that I've spoken to, especially at this stage of life, in that even if you were focused on health, it was typically a single pillar at a time. So, right, in the intro, I talked about my background as a swimmer. And at that age, it was just fitness. We didn't think about what we ate. When I tapered to cut out desserts, I would then have a cheeseburger and french fries for dessert, right? That was, I don't know the story I was telling myself in my head, but I'm getting sugar out, so I'll still just eat these simple carbs with all this fat. And so it was just not something I thought about. We're burning so many calories, you're young, your metabolism's fast. And even after I stopped swimming, I worked out a lot. And so fitness, it was all about fitness. And I'd have
Hmm.
friends telling me, wait till your metabolism slows down, or hey, nutrition actually is more important than the fitness side in terms of weight control. And I never saw it, right? My body type didn't change. But I would eat 2 cupcakes with each meal. I would have cake. I would have dessert every meal. And I ended up with a 520 of pre-diabetic. And like, well, that's not good. There's something going on
Yeah.
inside that wasn't. So I had to start taking nutrition more seriously. What is the fuel I'm actually putting into my body? And I also, being a swimmer in college, we'd have morning practice. You get up at 5 or earlier, and you had to study at night. You're working hard, so you weren't sleeping. And the days we'd get off practice, I didn't have morning practice one day a week. We'd go out and party, right? Like
Of course.
you didn't get more sleep. You just went to bed later.
Yep.
And my parents were both physicians, and they told me, "Oh, you can train your body not to. It's not that important." So I believed that. And when I was working, I'd work as long as I needed, sleep however little I thought I could get by with. And then Matthew Walker's book came out. Whoa, no, there's real science behind. I don't want dementia. I don't want early cardiovascular event, all these things associated with taking that sleep
Hmm.
away. This isn't something you just subtract. So I learned about the third pillar, so fitness, nutrition, sleep. Then you mentioned the book Get Out of My Head, right? That was my own journey of being a new father, launching a business, and trying to navigate that with things I was struggling with, and dove into Taoism, Stoicism, and
Hmm.
Buddhism. And then COVID hit. And so it got me really, really deep on the whole mindset piece and stress management, how you do that, and how you can help others. And then you referenced a TED Talk. I actually just gave one this past weekend, TEDx Bermuda, on kind of the fifth pillar, social connection, that really hit me because those first 4 are very internal focused, right? They're
Hmm.
data, the metrics you can focus on. Hey, what does it look like? What is my stress level? What is my heart rate? How many calories did I burn or consume?
Hmm.
And so it was very insular. And as I'm working on that, focusing on that, my wife of 15 years filed for divorce. And like, wow, I didn't see this coming. And
Hmm.
there's this whole piece that I'm now much better understanding the science of we have to have something outside of ourselves, something bigger than ourselves to serve to really put that life into our years, to live with that vitality. And I wish it didn't take that kind of wake up call for me, but it did. And so kind of each time, basically, I loved swimming and working out. So that was natural to me. And each other
Hmm.
one, it really took some aha moment to open my eyes to its importance. So I'm curious, right? I talk about the 5 pillars of the healthspan. These are what they are. But if you had asked me 3 years ago, maybe it'd only been three of them. So I'm curious next
Hmm.
year or the year after, are there six? Are there seven? I'm
Yeah.
curious where it'll take me.
Yeah. And I love that idea of social connection being a vital part of that. I've seen that certainly with my own parents that they, as they grow older, they need to volunteer and they need to get involved in the community. And so that seems like a really important part of that. So, what need did you see? Obviously, we've traced through your journey, but what did you see in the marketplace that kind of led you to create a Lively?
Yeah, well, one that everybody, I think I've never come across anyone that doesn't say, I want to be healthier, right? People want to be healthier. And yet at a societal level, if you look at all the numbers, all the metrics, trends, it's going in the opposite direction. Yes, there are individuals that are very healthy, but as a society, we're getting worse every single year. Metabolic health, obesity, or the health span, right? As you mentioned in the intro, lifespan's extending, but health span hasn't. Like we're
Hmm.
just adding more and more unhealthy years. And as a lot of people say, the issue isn't staying alive. Like we have so many machines and all these things that will keep you alive. The issue is not living while you're alive. And my co-founder and I, we spent a bunch of time in this personally on our own lives and trying to optimize there and learn. And what we found going through what our own personal mission statements are. Like I did Jim Lohr's The Personal Credo, right? Develop your own mission
Hmm.
statement,
Hmm.
and he did it. He did it through Peter Diamandis's as kind of a similar thing, and they were almost verbatim the same of continuous growth and learning, all to take what we learn and give it to the benefit of others, service to others. That's really what we do. That's why I write books. That's why I write the blogs. That's why
Hmm.
I do the TED Talks. Any of the stuff is, hey, this is my journey. This has been helpful to me. It seems selfish not to share that with someone else. And so we could think of no better realm to help and share than where we're spending most of our time, which is on this health and health span. And how do we bring this to others? And what are the things holding other people back from being able to live that healthier life that they at least say that they want?
Well, and you've also, framed it up in these 5 pillars, and I sort of rattled them off at the beginning, and you've referenced them. But can you walk through those 5 pillars? I think that's what makes what you're doing so easily digestible and understood by everyone. And like you said, moving that needle forward on, overall as a society becoming more well. So, what are those 5 pillars?
Yeah, so we talk about health a lot of times in the US, and it's truly an absence of disease. Hey, I'm healthy because I don't have diabetes, or I'm healthy because I don't have cancer. And that's very different than living with vitality. And when I think health, it's really living with that vitality. And you think about each component, right? Oh, it's fitness. Hey, I'm healthy. I go to the gym 3 times. Great, but are you loading your body and fueling it with things that are poisoning you, eating you from the inside? Like my A1C that was pre-diabetic. Hey, that wasn't enough. You needed this other piece. And so we know if you eat more of X than Y, you have a 50% chance of dying younger than if you don't, right? Like all these stats are saying, okay,
Hmm.
it's how you move your body and how you fuel your body. Fantastic. Um, Maybe that's it. No, actually, we know if you don't rest and recover, if you're not taking care of your sleep, then here's what you have a 50% higher chance of dementia and all these other things. Okay, well, great. Now we know we need to add that into it. Then you talk about stress management, mindset. Like, oh, we know people who are under stress, chronic stress, what that does to cortisol levels, what that does to your abilities, right? It all feeds through the same thing. And you think maybe it's just those, it's just internally. But then you go deep on the research on social connection. You're like, oh, socially isolated older adults have a 50% chance of developing dementia than more socially connected peers. Oh, being lonely is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It cuts our life short to the same extent as alcoholism and obesity. Oh, it is on par with all these other ones. And so when we looked at it, we said, you can't just solve for one of these problems because you're not solving people's health. You're just ticking a box versus solving the solution that people are looking for, which is true health and living with vitality. And to do that, we have to cover these, and we have to cover these in a way that people can understand and navigate them
Mhm.
easily in a step-by-step process. Because the other real big issue is most people don't ever get started because it's overwhelming. There's too much, right? There was too much just when it was fitness, when fitness, nutrition, sleep, right? Everybody just sees everything they're not doing today, and it becomes overwhelming. It's like, hey, I can't do it all, so what's the point of doing anything? Like,
Mhm.
no, let's step back. I was just with JJ Virgin. She made the point: moving your body vigorously for 10 minutes a day is associated with more than a 50% reduction in all-cause mortality. And you say, well, I don't have 10 minutes. Okay, well, moving your body for 4.5 minutes a day is
Right.
associated with a 28% reduction in
Do
all-cause
what you
mortality.
can.
Like, do you have 4.5 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
it's the difference between zero and something is so much bigger than something imperfect. You get it's always back to the Pareto principle. That first 20% of effort
Mhm.
is going to give you 80% of the benefits. And so that's really where we're trying to help people of what's the right 20% for you? Not perfection, but getting you that 80% benefit, because life is so much better when you're in that top 20th percent than if you're in the bottom half.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And you've come at this from a very interesting perspective. You've really forged partnerships with wellness influencers and creators. And so, how does that fit into a Lively's mission?
Yeah, well, the mission is to help people live healthier longer. And so we had to go back to one, what is preventing them from doing that today? And the hypothesis is it's two main things. One, people feel overwhelmed, like we just talked about. And
Hmm.
so it made sense early internet for Netflix to get all the DVDs on the one, Amazon to get all the books on the one. Now it's just overwhelming. If you're trying to go find the right vitamin D supplement and you get 3,500 results on Amazon, you don't know, does this one have arsenic in it? Is it a knockoff? It's a real thing. Like,
Hmm.
it's just very difficult to navigate that world. Or you need to do all the research, know the exact one yourself. And that's just one of the pieces. And we said, okay, in a world where our thermostat knows what temperature to be at what time of day and our playlist knows what song to play, with all the data we're throwing off on wearables and
Hmm.
everything else, why couldn't we be smarter in helping people know exactly what they need when? Hey, we see you haven't been sleeping well the last 45 days. We know that 63% of people who bought this product within 2 weeks saw 22 minutes more deep sleep on average a night. Would you like to add that to your cart? Like, that's a big part of just helping people narrow down to the specific thing that's helpful for them that they'll actually do. The second piece with how we've done with the partnerships with the Lively is not just for the curation, but also how do most people decide to try something new?
Hmm.
And the answer hasn't changed, not only for 5 or 10 years, but for 50,000 years. It's people we trust suggest we should try the thing. It was our caveman friend saying, oh, I ate this last week and it didn't kill me. You should totally try it.
Right.
And we're like, oh, okay, well, I trust that guy. Like, he's still
Yeah.
alive and he's eating it. Cool.
Yep.
It's just now these people are talking to way more people at a time. So we said, okay, we're a new company, new brand, like in the realm of health. Why should anyone trust us? So, well, maybe right now they don't need to trust us. Maybe right now they don't need to trust us. Maybe we need to find the people they already trust and
Mhm.
package what they're doing in an easily seen and digestible way for them to be able to act on that. And so that's really where our role model, goal model approach has come from.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and that is definitely true. I often wonder about, who was the first guy to eat an oyster and go, "Oh, I didn't die." But that's really good because someone else has done the research for you, and you know that you can trust it. What kind of unique challenges have come up as you've, kind of gotten traction behind a Lively and worked with these influencers?
Yeah, I mean the biggest specific to influencers is they're spread. The biggest with the influencers is they're spread very thin. And so we've really, part of our value is how much we can take off their plate with generating the content and all that. But getting the engagement on the back end to really keep going, that's certainly been a difficult component. And then one thing that constantly comes up is, well, are these people credible? And what kind of vetting do you do on
Mhm.
them? And at least right now, our take is I'm not the arbiter of who's right or wrong, right? Like, am I going to know exactly, is it the carnivore, the vegan, the paleo, the
Mhm.
pescatarian? Like, no one can agree on that stuff. So I'm not going to go in and say, I'm the one that knows all the truth. What we're taking is people that you already know and trust and surfacing what they do. So if you believe in this person, And maybe by doing that and servicing multiple different viewpoints, you can kind of put together what most resonates with you.
Very nice. All right, Andrew, I'm super intrigued. I have so many more questions about HealthSpan, but I have to take a quick sponsorship break. So when we come back, I want to talk about your go-to-market strategy and how you're connecting with that ideal audience. We'll be right back. If you're ready to take the guesswork out of social media and start posting with purpose, I've got a special gift for you. Download our 30-day social media content planner. It's a done-for-you planner packed with prompts and ideas to fill your content calendar for the next 30 days. Just go to saltmarketing.co/30 days to grab it and start posting content that not only connects, but converts. I'm back here on the Worth Your Salt podcast with Andrew McConnell, author, speaker, and entrepreneur, who's talking with us today about building a wellness business and community from the ground up. We're talking about his new venture, Alively, and how they're leveraging the power and knowledge of wellness influencers. So, Andrew, Alively promises to be the home of HealthSpan with a focus on helping people live healthier, more fulfilling lives. So what sort of unique products and resources are you offering through those influencers and through Alively that you think is truly going to enhance people's health span?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is the curation of the products themselves. So this is part of talking to the role models, goal models that we have of as they describe, here are my goals for my own health. Here's what I use and why I use it and what I've seen with that. You can self-identify with, oh, that's a problem that I am trying to solve. That's a solution I'm seeking. And that way of solving it resonates with something I would be likely. So instead of saying there's one objective truth on this, it's surfacing many subjective truths for you to find your own. That's one part of it. The other part is when you go and buy a new hat or t-shirt, maybe you get compliments. Maybe that's a thing. But when you buy something in health, you're trying to move a metric. I'm trying to lower my cholesterol. I'm trying to get more energy. I'm trying to sleep better. I'm trying to lose fat. I'm trying to add muscle. Great. How do you track that today? We can integrate with your Whoop or your Oura or your Apple Watch, whatever it is, to be able to then surface for you, is this thing you just did helping you or not? And if not, we can look at all the other users and say, other people trying to do the thing you just said you're trying to do have seen success with this thing. And so it's also about the objective overlaid with that subjective guidance to get you the exact right suggestion and intervention at the right time for what you care most about and most need.
And that makes sense. But with launching a platform like this, you've really got to connect with a health conscious audience. Like you talk about the Whoop band, you talk about the metrics and the benchmarks, and people have to be aware of those sorts of things in order to understand the value of what you're offering. So I know as our audience is mostly business owners, I know they're probably curious about your go-to-market strategy. How are you reaching these people who really understand the value of what you're offering?
Yeah. So this is maybe counterintuitive, but actually a majority of Americans now have wearables. So it's between 56, 63%, according to whatever research you look at. And so more people, thanks to Apple Watch and stuff like that, they might not be realizing and looking at the level of data, or they're overwhelmed by all the data. And so they don't do anything with it. So one is it's a way bigger market than you might think. The second piece is we're not trying to get you to be a data analyst and go in and get super into it. We say people have a really hard time starting new habits, sticking with habits, all that. But you know what people are great at? Clicking buttons to buy things. That's why we came at it from e-com play. And you know where they really like to find buttons to buy things? It's from scrolling social media, looking at the people they know and trust. And so that's why we came at it that way, right? Maybe our goal is to help people live healthier and longer. And that sounds and looks like a health coach, but none of those have worked. And we think there's a reason none of those work. We don't think that's a good strategy. We say, instead of asking people to be something they say they want to be, but have never been able to act upon and be that person, let's go find them where they are and what they're great at and just lean into that and build from there to then very subtly give them the nudges to help them live healthier longer.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how are you selecting your influencers? What sort of role are they playing in conveying a Lively's mission? Are you looking for people who are in alignment with your brand values, or how do you pick your influencers?
Yeah, I mean, we find them around those 5 pillars, right? So who are people that have strong fitness followings? Who are people that have strong nutrition followings and post a bunch of recipes, or are really into the recovery side and talk a lot about stretching modalities and stuff like that. And so the whole idea is the hypothesis is people are a lot like me or my co-founder, every single person we've ever talked about to of, hey, I went really deep on this pillar. until I hit this age and I started getting injured a lot. I was like, oh, wow, recovery matters. I need to think about it. And so most people are blind to the other pillars. I mean, I talk to friends that are incredibly high performers, go to the gym every day, really think about what they eat, even if they don't enjoy it or everything. And then they'll say, we're like, well, and what's your sleep like? Oh, yeah, no, I'm terrible at that. I'm like 4.5 hours a night. I'm like, oh, well, did you realize all these negative side effects? Like, no, I had no idea. What are you talking about? Okay, we really need to surface that for you because you're not living a healthy life. Like you are this incredibly brilliant, accomplished person. And I think it would be a tragedy if you got early onset dementia, not just for you, but for what you could do for the world. How do I help you now get ahead of that and solve those problems? And so we we try to find people within those pillars because the audience is probably more focused on that pillar. And then the idea is you come in through that. But then what you see is, oh, this person whose workout videos that I love that just kills in the gym, to actually look like that person and live the life that they're posting on social, it takes being thoughtful about how you fuel your body, how you rest and recover your body, what you do day to day and week to week for your mindset, how you engage with the larger community and world around you. And so a lot of why we do what we do is to take people out of these silos to help them get that bigger picture of what it takes and then help make it easier for them to take those steps across the pillars to really live a lively life.
Yeah, it's a fascinating business model, and I'm curious. One thing we talk a lot about is building trust and building authority. And you mentioned a little while ago that you're not the arbiter of this. You're not like saying this method is better or this method is less effective. So how have you found that trust component? Has it been difficult to build trust, or does your audience trust those influencers simply because they're on the Lively platform?
I think neither of those. I don't think they necessarily trust them because they're on the Lively platform. I think they trust them because they've been following them for 5 years and they already have a relationship, even if it's only through social, with them. The initial step is not us surfacing the influencer to you. It's us helping surface what the influencer is doing to you. So you already follow this influencer, right? Your first foray or entry point is that influencer posting stuff about their routine in conversation with a lively. That's the first step. Then as you come through the journey, you're like, oh, wow, they did all these other things. Oh, wait, they're not the only other one. Let me go explore some of these others. Oh, wow. Yeah, that actually resonates a little more with me than who I came in on. And so maybe they start following that person, but then they also see what is that person doing? What are their whys and what forks around their actions and practices and routines? And so I think we earn trust by partnering with people you already trust, not by saying, hey, look at this stable. You must definitely trust them because they're on a lively. It's kind of inverted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does go back to that old adage about show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Who are the 5 people that you spend the most time with? It
Right.
does definitely make sense there. And you've had just tremendous success in a number of other areas. Are there lessons or strategies from your past successes? Um, have you found the wellness industry to present any unique challenges that you've had to overcome?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's certainly a more important industry, right? I spent a decade before getting into this in vacation rentals. And right, you mess up someone's vacation, that's a really big deal for them,
Yeah.
right? They're working very hard and all that. And so it's important. But when you're talking about someone's health, I do think the bar for quality, for getting it right, has to be higher. And so I think that is a unique challenge to this industry. Both my parents were physicians. Before I went into the vacation rental industry, I was working in Afghanistan. There would be firefights and like it was literally dangerous. You had bulletproof vests and stuff. And when I was working in vacation rentals, I was like, look, there's nothing we're doing that a day later someone's not going to be safe. Like everyone's going to get home safely tonight. This is going to be fine. But you mess up in the health space, you could cause a real
Yeah,
problem.
that's such a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that is probably the biggest difference in terms of where I came from. I do think a lot of the same business principles hold, the biggest being the world's changing faster than ever. And so you just constantly have to track the data and iterate and improve. If you stay still, you're going backwards faster than you realize.
Really good point. All right. It's time for another quick break. We'll be right back after this. Hey, Salt Nation, you're part of the Worth Your Salt podcast today. I'm Jennifer Orqua, and I'm talking with Andrew McConnell of Lively, a platform designed to help influencers provide insight and action to help us all live healthier longer. We'd love to hear your thoughts on how you're enlisting influencers to increase your own visibility and reach. So be sure to join Salt Marketing over on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook and tell us how you're partnering with others in the industry. So, Andrew, we talked about trust a little bit. What are your top strategies for building credibility and trust with an audience that's often skeptical and they're often highly selective about the brands that they engage with? Because, like you said, we're talking about their health.
Yeah, I mean, the two biggest for us really are partnering with people you already trust. So we're not trying to get new trust from you. We're meeting you in a place that you already have a history of trust and relationship. The second is to move it into the world of objectivity for you, right? As I constantly say, it doesn't matter if PubMed says for sleep interventions, here's number 1 to 20. If you're never going to do number 1 to 6, it doesn't matter because that's not going to be effective for you because you're not going to do it. Number 7 is what we need to be serving. And so by incorporating your own personal data, overlaying with community level data to give you that level of insight, that's where over time we build trust because we can show you, hey, this is effective. We can show you, you tried to go buy this molecule. And I said, actually, no, you shouldn't. Because what we see is you get 25% better sleep on nights you walk 12,000 steps a day before, but you're only averaging 9,500. Before you add this molecule to your cart, let's go start at that 12,000. And then let's worry about, do we even need a molecule? And I think the trust has to come from us proving it's not just trying to sell you more stuff. I mean, there could be times the recommendation is, hey, you're spending $100 a month on this thing that we can't see any change in any metric that you said you care about. That being said, this other thing that's 60% cheaper, we do see people having an impact on a metric you care about. Do you want to save $60 a month, cancel this, and go add this other thing so that you can get the benefit and put more money in your pocket? And I think that's over time how we continue to build the trust and be that true home of healthspan, not just place that you got a product, but your home. You say, hey, this is my dashboard. This is what I trust. This is really has my best interests at heart because that's why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly I can see where that would build trust. But turning back a little bit to the business itself, you've branched out with a lot of different marketing channels. What have proven effective for you? I know you've, of course, been podcasting, but any platforms or strategies that you think wellness entrepreneurs might ought to prioritize?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we only launched a month and a half ago,
Right?
but I don't know if we have any amazing insight there. It's the typical meta TikTok, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where people are spending a ton of time, especially with the role model goal models that we have.
Mhm.
And so that's what we've been tapping into predominantly is where
Yeah.
are people? Oh, they're on social media. Great. That's where we need to be. Let's go create better and better content to get in front of them and to help them there.
Yeah. That said, though, you've got a really powerful story, and storytelling, of course, is really effective in wellness. And so, how did you kind of go about crafting that brand story? You've mentioned it again and again on a variety of platforms that I've seen. And what kind of advice would you give in terms of wrapping a story around your wellness offering?
Yeah, I mean, I think the story brand principles hold very, very strong on that, right? Of you need to not be the hero, you need to be the guide, and other people need to be the hero in that story. So for me, I think it starts from a true and authentic personal story that you continually tell, see what resonates, see what doesn't, and reposition. How do I tell this? How do I tell this? I mean, I just on storytelling in general. Like I said at the beginning, I gave another TED talk this past weekend, and working with my coach from TEDx Atlanta was helping with the TEDx Bermuda one. And when we would do a practice, it would be sometimes a single line. It's like, you know what? I think if you did this and this line, like this different kind of pause, this, it's gonna land differently. And our last meeting was literally changing a single word. It was
Mm.
like, this it looks well written, but when you say it, it sounds harsh. Let's workshop that. And so it's the principles can be the same in the story, but it has to be told in a way that people are able to receive it and are willing to receive it. And so back to things are changing so fast, you need to constantly be getting the data and iterating and improving. I think it's similar with the storytelling of the overarching story might be similar, but the points that you really hit on, the points you edit out because, hey, yeah, that's all true, but it's basically filler. That doesn't add anything. You have to just keep playing with that
Mm.
to see what lands, and also realize it may vary by audience, right? The story we tell to our role models and goal models isn't the same as the consumer, isn't the same as the brand. Now, it's all the same overarching story, but the points that get highlighted and where they get highlighted are different, because for them to be the hero in that story, it takes a different positioning for them.
That makes perfect sense. I was thinking in terms of your influencers and the story that makes sense to them. And how do you use story to sort of identify and attract the right partners and influencers for what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's the ones whose goals, right? When they talk about, wow, I can really see how this is better for the consumer. That's a good sign, right? They're not just for themselves. Like, man, yeah, I think it really is difficult for people who are aspiring to what I'm doing to go through my 26 links on Linktree and really put this package together. I could see how reducing all that friction, doing all this would
Mhm.
really be beneficial to them. That's a great signaling mechanism. And as people see and hear more of that, right? Yesterday I had 3 different inbounds and people saying, hey, how do I become a lively role model? I'm like, great, let's talk about what it looks like and how we can put that together. Um, and so that is a different story. And this is, our primary color had been this bright green, right? A lively, you're
Mhm.
bright, you're vibrant. And it back to the story we're telling of, hey, we're not the hero. We're the canvas that you're painting your masterpiece on. Brand, you're the masterpiece of, here's how you're positioned, here's how you're helping make people's lives better, helping them live healthier longer. We're the canvas painting that masterpiece on. Role model, same thing. Here's my masterpiece of my life. Here's how I live it. Here's why I do the things I do. We're the canvas that you're putting that on. And then for the consumer as well, the journey and the hero is you, and the masterpiece is your life. And we're just a canvas with a dashboard with the data, overlaying the data with your actions you're taking to be able to show that story and surface that story for you. And so the storytelling and how you do it isn't just the words. It's not just the inflection points and the timing and everything. It's also the visuals time. What is the palette? And all of that comes into play.
Yeah, all that is part of the brand for sure. But that's really great. That's really good, powerful stuff there. So tell me a little bit if we want to connect with you, if we want to follow your journey, if we want to connect with a lively, where can we go?
Yeah. So alively.com is where everything is. In addition, on Instagram, in Andrew McConnell, a lively underscore official. Those are probably the best. And then connect with me on LinkedIn at any point. I'm getting more active on Instagram, but probably most active on LinkedIn.
Perfect. All right. And of course, links to the Lively website, Andrew's LinkedIn profile, all the ways you can connect with Lively and with Andrew will be available on our website at saltmarketing.co. But right now, it is time for our lightning round questions. And these are a few quick questions that I like to ask of every guest. Andrew, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. So, first lightning round question is, what is something about you that often surprises people?
I think it's that my 8-year-old daughter loves Taylor Swift because I love Taylor Swift, not the other way around, right? Like I got really into Taylor Swift 9 years before she was born. So yeah, I half a decade before she was born, I had bought a signed Taylor Swift guitar. And I'm just big into Taylor Swift, regardless of my age.
Very nice. I love that. I took my almost 21-year-old daughter to see Taylor in France last summer, so that was fantastic. All right, next question. What is your favorite thing about the work that you do?
That it helps people in every aspect of their life. If you help them achieve greater vitality, they are happier, they're healthier, they show up for the relationships that matter most for them. Every single part of their lives is better, right? This is the foundation. And back to that social connection and purpose piece, we have to have something outside and above ourselves to be serving to have that true health. And so that really have that calling that is serving that purpose has been tremendous for me.
Such a powerful way to make an impact. I love it. Next question is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Yeah, I'm going to give, it was the best and then the worst and then the best again. So
Okay.
in high school, I came across, it was an infinite jest, but I think Eleanor Roosevelt initially said it of, you wouldn't care as much about what other people think about you if you realized how little they actually do. And as a teenager, you're like, oh my God, what do people think? That's incredibly powerful advice. It's so freeing. Like, wait, everybody's just thinking about themselves all the time. They're
Hmm.
not that worried about me. Like I could just take some of that anxiety off, live and be happy. And it's incredibly freeing. Later in my life, in my probably late 30s, I was talking to Donna Dubitsky, who is the CEO of Palm and a high up executive at Apple. And I was like, this was the best advice I ever got. She's like, oh, yeah, that's not true anymore. She's like, once you're the CEO, everybody is thinking about you. And every time you say something and every time you do something, they're telling stories about why did he say that? Why did he do that thing? And it's true as a parent as well, right? Especially of a young child. They are thinking about you a lot and how you react to what you say. I'm like, okay, that is not useful advice anymore. This new advice from Donna is actually what I need to take on board. And it has made me more empathetic and more impactful, but it definitely does create new levels of anxiety when you realize, oh no, people actually do care now what I think and do. And I have to put another level of thought into it.
So finally, I want to know who is inspiring you right now. What podcasts are you listening to? What's the best book you've read recently? Anything you can inspire us with?
Yeah, so the podcast that has been there are kind of two more recent ones that I'm big on. One is the Melanie Avalon biohacking podcast that it's consistent. Her guests say, wow, you do more research than anyone on these shows, right? Because they'll have books and people are just doing podcasts going through the rounds where she reads the footnotes and then the studies behind the footnotes. And her level of questioning is so good. It's a phenomenal podcast in this space. And then there's it was the AI marketing show, and now it may just be the AI show, the artificial intelligence show, I think. That's from the AI Marketing Institute. And it does a weekly one, the latest that happened in the past week on here's what you need to know. And really, really useful. I've got a bunch of tools out of that. On the books, I certainly did some classics recently, read the Odyssey and the Iliad with my daughter, which was a lot of fun, a lot of great mythology.
All right. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of Worth Your Salt.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Jenna.
I also want to thank you, Salt Nation. If you have a great success story, I'd love to talk with you and share your story. So tell us about why you're worth your salt by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. Of course, be sure to subscribe to Worth Your Salt so you never miss an episode. Finally, leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode. Be sure to join me again next time. In the meantime, let's get out there and shake things up.